Hi, I'm Karen Morgan. I'm a member of the Executive Council of AARP Maryland, and I'm here with the first of our social media interviews during Protect Week 2023. Protect Week is a campaign that is done by AARP Maryland in concert with a number of other state and nonprofit partners to shine a spotlight on the issues regarding elder financial abuse. Now, we want to cover different types of topics when we look into these things, and because elder financial abuse can come in all sorts of ways, through investments, through bank accounts, through text, through emails. So today we are going to focus on fraud in the investment and annuity space. And with me here, and we are thrilled to have both of them, is Commissioner Melanie Lubin. She is the Securities Commissioner and an Assistant Attorney General in the Office of Maryland Attorney General. She's the immediate past president of the North American Securities Administrators Association, also known as NASA. She has held numerous leadership positions in that organization, and she has spent 3 decades as a securities regulator. She's represented the Office of Attorney General through all sorts of forums, including the U.S. House Financial Services Committee. And she's a graduate of the University of Maryland and received her law degree from the University of Baltimore School of Law. So thank you, Commissioner Lubin, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And we also have Director Noor Benchaboun. He has been with the Maryland Insurance Administration for over 25 years. And before being named as director in the Life Annuity and Credit Unit, he was in the Market Analysis Chief in the Market Regulation Unit. He holds a certificate as a Market Conduct Manager, and he also has worked with the Life Office Management Association. He earned his bachelor's degree from Towson University in Actuarial Science with a minor in Business Administration. And about 20 years ago, he earned his Master's of Science degree in Finance from the University of Baltimore. A lot of local talent here, so thank you, Director Noor Benchaboun, for being with us.
Thank you, Karen. Happy to be here.
Okay, that's great. So let's get right into it. So let me start with you, Director Benchaboun. Can you tell us, for those in our audience who don't know, what is MIA? We call the Maryland Insurance Administration MIA, but can you just give us like a little capsule of what that means, what that means for us?
Certainly. The MIA is short for the Maryland Insurance Administration. We are a state agency that regulates insurance in Maryland. So the MIA license insurance companies, producers. We examine the business practices of licensees to ensure compliance. We monitor solvency for insurers operating in the state of Maryland. We review and approve insurance forms that includes policies, certificates, applications, and riders. They have to be approved prior to use in Maryland. We review insurance rates to ensure the rates are not inadequate or excessive and fairly discriminatory. We also investigate consumer and provider complaints and allegations for fraud.
Okay, that sounds great. And Commissioner Lubin, we know that the Office of Attorney General is one of the state's chief enforcement agencies. But tell me, or tell our audience about investments and just how investment accounts are protected differently from bank accounts.
So I'll tell you that. Let me give you just a thumbnail about the securities division, because we're a little bit different from other parts of the AG's office, because in addition to having enforcement authority, we're also a regulator within the Attorney General's office. So we, similarly to MIA, we have jurisdiction over securities. So we regulate investment advisors, we regulate stockbrokers, we regulate the firms and their personnel. We also regulate securities offerings, the products that are offered in Maryland. We have licensing authority. We can revoke their license, condition their license, sanction them if they violate the statutes. That's within our enforcement authority. And we also have similar authority when it comes to the products. And then in the enforcement space, we can bring actions against the regulated industry, as well as people who violate the Securities Act and commit scams in the unregulated industry. So we bring enforcement actions in both contexts against the regulated industry, like the legitimate industry, as well as against people who are committing scams and investment fraud and things that violate the Securities Act, whether they happen to be our licensed providers or unlicensed people.
Oh, I see. Okay, and that's definitely important. I mean,
Right.
from an enforcement standpoint, you have broad authority.
Right. So we have very broad authority. So investment accounts within the legitimate industry are different. So the brokerage accounts and accounts held through financial planners are different than accounts that are held by banks. So they are insured accounts. When you hold accounts through a brokerage firms, they're insured through SIPC, the Securities Investor Protection Corporation, the way bank accounts are insured by FDIC. But what's different is both types of insurance make sure that what is held in those accounts are there, that those products or your assets are there. Mm-hmm. But SIPC will make sure the accounts are there. FDIC makes sure the accounts are there at the value of those accounts. SIPC makes sure that those securities that are held are there, but does not insure the value of the accounts against losses. So if there's stocks that are in those accounts, the stocks will go up and down in value according to the market, or whatever other kinds of securities are held in there will go up and down according to the value of the according to the market value. So if that firm happens to fold, SIPC will make sure you get your securities back, but not necessarily at the original value. So if you had 100 shares of stock that were worth $100, but at the time the firm folds, those shares of stock were worth $50 a piece, you will get 100 shares of stock at the present value in return. That's in a legitimate brokerage firm. Completely different story. There's no SIPC insurance if you happen to be dealing with a firm that's not legitimate.
Exactly. But that can still be a rude awakening, especially if your life, if what you're relying on for security is invested, if most of it's in an investment account and, that firm goes under, or the stock tanks, as we like to say, and you think you have $100,000, but as it turns out, you only have $1,000.
Well, one of the really important things that we tell all investors before they invest is that they really have to understand what they're getting involved in, because there's a very big difference between putting money in a bank, in a bank certificate of deposit, versus something that's like a brokered certificate of deposit, where the principal might be at risk. So there's a lot of difference between bank, putting money in a bank where it's FDIC insured and the principal's insured, and going into a security situation where the principal can be at risk. So we really advocate and go out and try and tell investors that they need to be informed investors and understand what they're getting into, and be able to stomach the risk and be able to handle the risk, and it be a suitable risk situation for their investment portfolio. Exactly.
Now, Director Ben-Shaboun, can you talk to our audience about what fraud means in light of annuities? What is an annuity account, and how might fraud be a factor with regard to annuities?
Certainly, fraud can take many forms. Many forms could be completing a false document, making false statement. An agent can pocket the premiums, selling unauthorized insurance, exaggerating when you say, with regards to a claim, making a fraudulent claim. These actions obviously are illegal and can happen every day by organized criminals, and everybody is at risk. So according to the Coalition Against Insurance Fraud, most insurance agents and insurance are ethical and trustworthy. You just have to understand what you're invested in and the product that you're applying for. So as far as the annuity world of insurance, scams can take so many forms, like stolen premiums, phony insurance, coverage you don't even need. Churning, which is defined as dishonest agents that urge you to use the cash value to purchase a better policy in their minds. Sliding could be like extra coverage. How about twisting? You can urge the policyholder to twist the fact about the risk involved. How do you avoid this risk? You can contact us. You can verify the agent is licensed. The company is licensed in the state where you're doing business. Pay the premium by check, credit card, money order. Don't ever pay cash. Slow down. You need to understand what you're buying. You need to understand what type of coverage. If you don't get a policy that you thought you applied for within 60 days, it's time to call the insurance company. It's time to call your commissioner's office. Get a second opinion. You can sort of price for what you're looking for. And obviously, if you think there is a scam or you've been subject to a scam, you need to report it. Our hotline is 800-492-6116. You can report it to National Insurance Crime Bureau. There's a special number, 800-835-6422. And we have a special fraud unit that you can report without staying anonymous. That special number is 800-846-4069. And you can also email us fraud_referrals.mia@maryland.gov. So these are various ways in the line of annuity and insurance that you can actually report this information to us. I can share with you some examples of some of the actual cases we actually have seen at the MIA. You can have.
Oh, I see it. Yes, we would like to hear that.
Absolutely. So, we've had actual cases that the Maryland Insurance Administration has seen through their agent enforcement unit. You can have the insured take their penalty-free withdrawal, and a single goal is simply by earning the commission. You can actually, a producer who presents himself as an advisor, financial advisor, and they're not really licensed by SEC to be financial advisors. You can have the producer actually change the address to send their statements to the P.O. box. Obviously, this is a forgery. These are actual cases that we have seen here at the Maryland Insurance Administration.
Yeah. And so that's why, like you said, it's really important for people to take the time to verify what it is they're getting and who they're dealing with. And if they see something that looks strange, to look into that further. Don't just ignore it, but look into it.
Absolutely.
So Commissioner Lubin, please talk to our audience about what kinds of scams you've been seeing as the Securities Commissioner.
So it's very interesting how scam artists operate. So let's talk about the illegitimate part of the industry, and then I'll give you a little bit of things people should watch out for when they're dealing with their legitimate brokers and investment advisors. So the scam artists are really good at telling a good story to reel people in. So they like to use terms that people are really familiar with. So the things that people hear about when they're watching CNBC and they're watching the other, money channels, and what are you seeing in Kiplinger's, and, what are you hearing about on the news? So they'll hear all the buzzwords that they're hearing. So they'll hear IRAs, they'll hear, we don't want you to outlive your money. They'll hear all the terminology that people are worried about. So, they'll reel people in by things like, oh, you don't want to be subject to the market risk. So we're going to put you in investments that are tax-free, that are IRA approved, that you're going to be in a self-directed IRA. So you're not going to have to worry about somebody else telling you what to do. This is going to be within your control. You're going to know what's going on all the time. And they're going to be put into investments that are really risky. So we've brought a lot of cases, and we have cases pending now involving like metals offerings, where people are told that metals are secure, metals outperform the market. So you're not subject to market risk, or you're not subject to some of the things that people are really worried about. That,
like
metals are always good.
Right?
I'm sorry?
Like gold and silver, right?
Like gold and silver. They're told that metals are worth more than the melt value because they're coins and they're special metals, when they're really just worth what happens if you melt the metal down, throw it on a scale, and get the value. And they're marked up with excessive markup. So we've got cases pending for those kinds of things. We've got cases that are settled, and they're very much marketed to people who are very skeptical about how the stock market works. They think there's a fix for the stock market. They think the people think they may outlive their money, and their excessive markups. And when you look at what these metals are really worth, they're only worth the melt value if there's a way for you to actually melt it down, turn it around, and sell it. So people are actually losing money the second that they buy this stuff. So, and it's very tempting. It works into people's philosophy. It works into people's skepticism about the established financial universe, about the established government universe, and it's very tempting. There are other things that just prey on particularly older people's fear of outliving their money. And it says we're going to get higher returns. It's going to outperform the market. And very few things over time outperform the market. good, bad, or otherwise. It could be up or down. You look at it long term. There are a few, and I don't advocate buying things, what to buy or things like that. I advocate that people go out and get independent advice about what works best for them, and that people check people out and get in touch with us, and get information about their brokers, about their advisors. Get in touch with us. I'm a big advocate on Google everybody. You can get better information looking somebody up online. See if they have adverse disciplinary history, call us to find out about it, call us to find out about the products, find out if the products are in compliance, are being sold in compliance with state requirements and federal requirements. That gives people an indication that the promoters are interested in complying with state requirements. We've got a lot of concerns now about the crypto marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of promises being made. We initiated a really big case last week about promises being made to investors with companies that are acting out of compliance with the Maryland Securities Act, where the SEC brought a similar action because the company's acting out of compliance, allegedly acting out of compliance with federal law. The companies are making promises with very risky investments without disclosing the risks to investors. So investors really need to investigate before they invest. And they also need to be worried about the return of their money as much as they are worried about the return on their money. So, I've been doing this for a really long time, and I have never loved the idea of buyer beware. But the buyers have to beware. The buyers have to worry about what's going to happen with their money and investigate as much as somebody goes out and investigates what set of tires to buy, or what's the best toaster oven, or what mattress is going to last longest and be most comfortable, or what's the best washer dryer to buy. These are really big investments people are making. They're picking who's going to take care of their life savings and want their life savings to be there to take care, to be able to spend as they get older. So they've got to pay as much attention to that money as they are to all these consumer purchases.
Exactly.
And get in touch with us. Get in touch with Insurance Administration. Get in touch with the Securities Division so you can check out these people and these products, and we can let you know if the companies are concerned about being in compliance with state law. That's why we're here. We're here to help protect people.
I have to laugh because I'm thinking about, I want to buy a new toaster oven, and this has taken months.
Right? And they don't take that amount of time to look into the person that they're going to hand their life savings over to.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, well, I'm high risk. You just do what you want, and no, because even in a legitimate firm, you could have an advisor who's not necessarily acting in your best interest.
And that's the legal obligation they have. Stockbrokers have to act in a client's best interest. Investment advisors have a fiduciary obligation for their clients. So those are very, very high standards of obligations and duties of care to their clients, and they have to live up to those obligations.
Yeah, a very good point. Director Benjamin, can you tell us, you mentioned some of the resources, but if, say I have an annuity with an insurance company, but I don't know, but I kind of think maybe there's something weird going on, or how come I'm not getting the income that I'm expecting? What do I do next?
It's a very good question. Well, you can call us. We can take a look at your contract. It's a good segue to Commissioner Melanie's issue with regards to we're here for you. We're here to help you with information. There's a wealth of information. As Commissioner Melanie mentioned, we adopted the suitability of annuity transactions effective March 30th. We're one of 38 states that have adopted the highest standard of care for clients. You cannot put the interest of a producer first and foremost. The consumer's best interest comes first. As far as what's available for consumers is a number of things. You have to understand, one is the agent putting your interest first and foremost. Is the product you purchase and is exactly what you need? We have a wealth of information on our website. And our website is insurance.maryland.gov. Our direct number is 410-468-2000. 2000, so 2000. So we have a consumer guide to insurance, to annuities. We have guides to fraud. We have the information about the Maryland Life and Health Insurance Guarantee Corporation, which is every licensed insurer is required to be a member of. We have a consumer advisory. We often hold a bunch of videos with regards. We recently just had one with Annuities 101 that explains to you where to go to find information about your contract. And ideally, where your start is one, that annuity contract, as I mentioned, has to have obviously been filed and approved with the commissioner. Your data page includes all the information about what product you have. Every variable annuity, the company is required to provide you with annual statement. And these are investment products. You have to stay on the top of what you're invested in. What risk are you willing to take? Annuities obviously come in two shapes. You have an index annuity, you have, which is obviously fixed, or you can have a variable annuity. A variable annuity can potentially provide you greater return, but there's a greater risk. So you have to understand what your risk tolerance is. When you applied for that product, you knew whether you're a moderate risk taker, you are aggressive, you're less aggressive, you're more aggressive. There's a form you have to fill out as part of your application to explain to you what you're buying. And like I said earlier, if you don't get a contract within, let's say 30 days, 45 days, it's time to pick up the phone and find out, what policy did I purchase? Not only that, every single annuity contract comes with a free look period. By law, you can take a look and change your mind. So these are all key measures you can take to protect yourself. And obviously, call us. We have a lot of enforcement actions that we took against producers. That's public information. A total of restitutions, fines. We denied applications. There's revocation. There's suspensions. There's a number of criminal cases that we have actually handled with our own fraud unit in conjunction with the Attorney General's office. So information is out there, but you have to take time to understand what you're invested in, because these are long-term investments.
Yeah, and like you just said, and like Commissioner Lubin was saying, it's that, this is complicated stuff. The contracts are long for a reason, and and tiny little print. So to fit all of that information in there, and you really have to take the time to go through that, and maybe to get somebody to go through it with you, because neither the Office of Attorney General or the Maryland Insurance Administration can recommend to you a company to invest with or to have your annuity settle with. That would violate their enforcement duties.
Correct.
So, but both of your agencies are where people can go to get objective advice about, what may be suspected fraud, or what may be questions about behaviors that people may not understand from their insurance advisor or from their investment advisor.
So Karen, we also have a wealth of information on our website. It's marylandattorneygeneral.gov, and so does Consumer Protection and everything else. It's easiest to go to our website, and you can find out how to contact us and see it. So you go to marylandattorneygeneral.gov and go under securities, and you can get all kinds of information and find out how to contact us. But it's very similar to insurance. People need to take a look at what's there, figure out, I would suggest, in consultation with an independent professional, what the risk tolerance is. I think Noor would agree. I would tend to know the companies that I wouldn't recommend more than the companies I would recommend. So I'm definitely not the person to say, with whom should you do business? Because, I know the ones that I wouldn't want to do business with more so. But it's really, there are ways, you talk to your friends, you talk to your family, you talk to your other trusted financial professionals to get recommendations about people with whom to do business. You look at the disclosure information. If you're doing business with a stockbroker, if you're doing business with an investment advisor, you're entitled to get disclosure information about the people with whom you're doing business. It will tell you what their backgrounds are. It'll tell you how they charge their fees. The Securities and Exchange Commission and the state of Maryland require that there's disclosure information that explains the relationship, explains the obligations. You get some more information on the investment advisor side than you get on the stockbroker side. But you do get disclosure about fees, what's charged, how it's charged, what their obligations are, because the person initially is the product that you're buying. That's the service. And then they may sell you products. The products might be advice. This product might be products. It might be both.
Right.
So that's what you're buying initially. And then the relationship moves into the product relationship, depending on if you're there for products or if you're just there for advice. And then you'll get disclosure about the products in addition
Yeah.
to that. So
Yeah.
it's in the interest of understanding what the relationship is and what you're getting. So that's very important disclosure for the investor to understand. And then they could come to our sites to get help understanding what that disclosure means and what they're entitled to get in that disclosure. And then
it's-
if they need help with that, they can call us and we can help walk them through that.
Yes, because it's so important to get that help if you don't know or if you have questions. It's so important to ask those questions. And even if you have an investment advisor, I mean, I'm thinking of my own investment advisor. I am in my own mind. I'm constantly just reevaluating. What am I hearing? Does that continue to make sense? And sometimes I'll lob in a couple of test questions just to see what the answer is. Because if it sounds like so many of our guests said in our press conference kickoff today, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. People who promise that they can time the market are lying because they can't. And people who encourage you to engage in shortcuts to avoid regulation, which they will characterize as some sort of roadblock, that's keeping you from your money. No, it's keeping you safe. But people who are advising you to do that, you need to watch out for those people.
Right. And I think investors are reluctant to follow their gut. If they think there's a problem, they need to get in touch with us sooner rather than later.
Yes.
Especially, money is at risk. We have the best chance of trying to recover funds if we're in there early.
Yes.
The longer it drags on, if it's a scam and there are problems involved, the more likely it is the con artist, the scam artist has already spent the money. The less likely it is we're going to be able to recover anything. We can sanction the person, we can bar them, we can get criminal prosecution if it's warranted, but the less likely it is we're going to be able to get a recovery of the funds for someone. So it's really important, if people feel like there's something wrong going on, don't sit and wait. Don't let the con artist string you out and give you reasons for not getting in touch with the regulator, because they'll always give you reasons. They say, if you call the government, it's going to prevent us from getting your money back. Don't fall for that. Get in touch with us early on.
Exactly. And with that, I am going to have to say thank you so much to Director Noor Benchaboon from the Maryland Insurance Administration, and from Securities Commissioner Melanie Lubin from the Office of Attorney General. This is just to give you an idea of the things you need to think about if you're interested in annuities or if you're interested in investments. But please check out aarp.org/MD for a list of all of our Protect Week events and resources. Scammers are out there. They are attacking all of us. An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. But there are things we can do. One of the things we need to do is to evaluate our investments and our annuities carefully, and evaluate the people that we're dealing with carefully on an ongoing basis. So with that, thank you so much. We so appreciate your time and your energy and your efforts on behalf of Maryland citizens. It makes a huge difference in the quality of our lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.